So you remember this little guy. I didn't really finish it. So I thought I'd take the opportunity to give it a few final strokes, get it to pop a little bit. Just make it a little more interesting. A few more strokes of burnt sienna on white. Just, it was kind of smeary looking, and I wanted to show, see, now you can see that high intensity of light laid very gently with my brush, not brushing it on like so, forcing it into the cracks, but my brush is laid almost parallel to the canvas, or very close to it, and then laying it on and allowing the top of the warp weft junctions to pick up that light. So it gets a little texture, which makes it more interesting, and it helps the vase to pop a little bit, or the ramekin. I think I called it roses in a ramekin. Well, it's not really a ramekin, but you know what I mean. Okay. Now it's still floating. I would like to, I think I'll put a little more, what color is that? I'm going to guess this is, it's quite dry now. I'm going to say this is a mixture of ultramarine blue, cobalt blue, raw umber, bit of white. Yeah, I'm close, but I would like to go a little bit darker yet. You know, you can't always remember what you've used. Well, I can't anyway, on a painting after a while. But I have enough experience that I'm able to look at the colors and match the colors closely enough that it becomes plausible or indistinguishable. Even here where there is light, I still think it just helps a little bit for the sake of the design. Bit of scumbling there to keep it darker as it goes off the canvas. Drawing less attention to it. It's okay, I don't think that's a problem. It's a bit of cheating, I suppose. But if it's a bit of cheating that helps the painting, then I'm willing to do it. Okay, we'll add some white to that. And blend. Still floating. It's still floating. What a terrible artist. You'll have to excuse me for a moment. I hear my wife coming home. So I made kind of an amateur mistake here. I put more highlighting on that pot, which made it float over this light blue even more. Then I darkened the blue, and that was really standing out from that. I think in my original design, and I could still do it actually, is just take the pot right off the bottom of the canvas and darken it enough so that it doesn't have to appear to be sitting on anything. But as it sits now, I've gone darker again along the bottom here, lowered the values so it's more in tune with these. I think it looks okay like that too. So we'll just leave that. Now we'll get on to these leaves. I think I'll stop playing with this arrangement. I think I'm calling it at that. I'll put a signature on it and call it done. I should finish these things as I go, rather than having to come back and finish later. Yeah, it's the spirit of my laziness. So here's a painting that I did a number of years ago. I called it Elephant Cloud. Now, it's a real stretch of the imagination to call this Elephant Cloud, because really, obviously, there's just this little trunk sticking out. It might be a, you know, some sort of an abomination of a Disney cartoon or something. Nevertheless, that's what I call it. It's been out at a gallery for some time, and nobody has bought it and run screaming from the building with happiness. So it's back home now, and I really, personally, love this painting. So I'm sitting here thinking, what could it be that would cause this to be let's see, what would people have hung up on when they saw this and thought, you know, I like the painting, but I don't quite like this, or I don't quite like that. And then my second thought was, well, you know, never mind trying to guess anybody else's opinion. What do I think of it? So here's what I've come down to. I think that I'm going to remove this oddity. I like it because it is an oddity, but I think I'm just going to cut it off here. I think I'm going to continue this cloud a little bit going into this one. May put a few highlights on these clouds to give them less visual weight. Also, you know, I picture this as Canadian Shield. And when people in Canada refer to the Rock, they're really talking about Newfoundland or the East Coast. The truth is, there is so much of Canada is the ground is actually Canadian Shield, or Cambrian Shield, I guess, geologically, and it's very old, and a lot of it's on the surface. So you can come across this sort of a scene anywhere on the Great Lakes, or many of the Great Lakes, and then all the way out to the east coast of Canada. You can also find these scenes up north in the prairie provinces. So I picture this as a little, you know, maybe a pump house, and maybe this is a fish cleaning shed or shack or something. Don't have to make up a new story for it, not worried about it. But I think that maybe what I'll do is extend the roof line of this and make the shed a little bit bigger, you know? Block in a little bit more of that. In addition to connecting these two clouds. I'm just going to play with it and we'll see how it goes. So I'll apologize to you for the fact that I am not providing, or I'm not taking along with you, or not, I'm not taking you along with me, sorry, while I make these small changes. But the truth is, it takes a bit of time for me to match these colors up. I can do it, but it is time consuming. And I think that if I were to leave the camera running for all of that time, you might become pretty bored. In fact, I know you would. Because I wouldn't even have anything to offer you in the way of explaining myself, because I'm concentrating on what I'm doing. Okay, just okay. I didn't like that one little post sitting there so close to the shed, which I've now lengthened, as you can see, and I think that's a good improvement. Now, what are we gonna do? I think we're gonna work our way up here a little bit. The mixtures that I'm using right now are variations of everything that's in the sky. So that means, let's see, yellow ochre, burnt sienna, and ultramarine blue. That's kind of what I'm on about right now. Now, I've used cad yellow pale in areas in the sky, but that's not what we're working on right now. That's really in this area. Here. Let me introduce more of that. I may still brighten this up coming down in this direction. We'll see, but I'm not worried about it right now. Let's get rid of this elephant trunk. Yeah, and I am using linseed oil. Fat over lean, don't you know? A little bit of junk there. It's not a perfect match, it's a close enough match. Using my finger eraser. My finger eraser is very handy sometimes. Okay, we'll forget about that. Okay, that's good. I like the improvement here. Didn't like that little detail gone. This post earlier, well actually you didn't even see that, but it was very skinny on the top. But yeah, for a painting that still has some musculature to it, I don't want tiny little thin lines. Not where they inhabit a space that is directly against some bright yellow. Okay, glad this is gone. Now I'm going to play in this area. Well, once again, just kind of wandering around aimlessly. I don't know quite what I want to do yet. I'd like to bridge these two. Not so much for the purpose of closing this off, but just to bridge them, just to make this more of a continuous feel. So I'll just put a few shapes in here. See how that works out. I don't even know that I'm going to connect them really so much as just kind of lay them in there. I'd rather have a bit of an arc this way than this way, because if we go this way on the underside of these clouds, it puts a lot of visual weight on it, and I don't want to do that. I want to keep it light. That's why I've made the underside of this cloud fairly ragged. Okay, I think I'm gonna... And just so I don't confuse myself, I'm going to block this in with the same gray that I've got under here. Lines or highlights I'll figure out in a minute, but not quite yet. Okay, I think I can just close that off like so. Howdy-do-de-do, let's see. Should I get rid of that completely? Yeah, I don't want it to be too interesting up here. Okay, I'll leave that for the moment. This steps down a fair bit, and that brings us up to another angle here, which is now repeated there. I think that what I want to do is cut into this. See this one knob that's hanging down? I think I'm going to remove that. I'm just going to cut into that in a minute. Well, I guess I'll have to rename the painting now that the elephant's trunk is gone. But I think it was an improvement to close off this exit from the painting. I still think that it's light enough up here that it's not too oppressive on the scene. Had a very, this was a very strong line against the paler, warmer colors, and I think it did well to be softened. I've also put a few soft, scumbling-like brush strokes in places just to give this a little more texture, a little more feel, a little bit more of a soft but sculpted feel. I think that's helped. So all in all, I think this is a little more interesting and, in a sense, weaker. I think that's okay. Our shed's lengthened now. I like it. This is like some very heavy, low, raggedy, scudding rain clouds just passing by over, a strange, misty kind of a morning. Sun's trying to get through. Okay, I'll just do a quick close-up. Excuse me while I loosen my camera so I can move it around. Oops. Just give you a close-up shot of what happened here. So these foreground clouds are mixtures of yellow ochre and cobalt blue in the grays, and then as they get warmed up they are mixtures of raw umber, yellow ochre, alizarin crimson, and white. And back here we really stayed away from the alizarin crimson. We just went with raw umber, yellow ochre, and white. And the distant clouds are all mixtures of cad yellow pale, burnt sienna, yellow ochre, white, hints of alizarin crimson here and there, hints of ultramarine blue here and there. Very, very, very light on the blue. Just trying to keep that sky kind of warm. Anyway, I do believe that is a nicely improved view of, yeah, that's probably something you'd see maybe more commonly in Newfoundland and Labrador on the east coast of Canada. Although I know you see it in certain communities, in a lot of places on the Canadian Shield. A lot of bedrock at the surface. People have to make do, putting their little pump houses and their little machine sheds here and there. Machine sheds, mechanical sheds. Alright. I'll be going through a few more paintings that I got back and seeing if I can make any improvements on them. We'll do that over the next video. Have a good weekend, guys.